So we'll keep the mic down with Colonel Luca, and if you can kind of talk to us a little bit about the opportunities that you see from your perspective, working at Johnson Space Center, working through, as you look at space, what opportunities do you see?
It is an interesting time right now. So it just happens that I am coming from my previous job at ESA. I was in charge of the astronaut operations. Now here at Johnson, I'm also very much integrating the operations. I'm currently the lead, the crew office lead for the mission on orbit, but obviously I still keep in touch a lot with what's happening at the European Space Agency. And it is an interesting time because just in these next couple of months, we have astronauts going up to the space station with the legacy ways to get to the space station. So through the program, the International Space Station program, we have 5 agencies that provide astronauts means and opportunities for the astronauts that belong to the space agency, and those will continue through the SS program. Currently we have 2 spacecraft that go to the space station, the Crew Dragon and the Soyuz. These have been, when I say legacy, the Crew Dragon is relatively new, but already has brought several astronauts to the space station. We are already on the 7th iteration. Next March, we will see Crew 8 going up. So already, we already 4 times 7, over 20 astronauts flying up on the space station, to the space station on Dragon, and several hundreds that went up with the Soyuz. Next year, we also expect the Boeing spacecraft called Starliner going up, increasing the opportunities to have crews fly into space, still through the regular space station program. However, already we, as already mentioned, we are waiting in January for the mission Axiom 3. This is a completely different kind of opportunity for access to space. It's a private mission. Axiom is a private company that offers rides to the space station for a limited amount of time, 10 days to 2 weeks. The interesting thing is Axiom 3 is the first time that all the astronauts are not private citizens, but actually belong to a government-sponsored organization. We have one person sponsored by the Italian Air Force. We have a Turkish astronaut sponsored by the Turkish Air Force. Marcus Band is one of the European astronauts from the reserve that will be a project astronaut for the next mission through the European Space Agency via the Swedish government. And then obviously Michael Lopez-Allegri, the commander, is the Axiom, is a commander of the mission coming straight from Axiom. These opportunities will increase in the future. Just a couple of days ago, I was at Axiom talking to the providers, and we are looking as the legacy astronauts coming from the ISS program or going into Artemis program, we are seeing that the interest of the space agencies is moving from low Earth orbit towards wider horizons, to put it this way. I think you know what I'm talking about. And so the plan in the future years is to continue having access to low Earth orbit, the International Space Station, and possibly other commercial space station coming up via more and more through private entities like Axiom. As a matter of fact, Axiom will be building part of the space station and eventually build a complete space station that's fully operated commercially. So talking about opportunities, there will be a 3-pronged approach. Approach to the International Space Station through the Space Station program. What we are doing now, continuing the research. The Space Agency will always be interested in having astronauts following science technology on the International Space Station and the future space stations. Then we have the commercial part, which will be also dual-pronged. Project astronauts coming from government space agencies that want to fly shuttle-style short-duration missions, and possibly what is being called tourism, space tourism, eventually, if the costs really go down enough to give access to the general public to go to the International Space Station or future commercial stations. The third prong of the approach is obviously the Artemis program. and in general, lunar space flight. That is what my generation of astronauts is working towards, looking forward to, as a matter of fact. Next year, we will have the first crewed mission going to the space, going back to the moon, around the moon on Artemis 2. We will be waiting for the result of that test flight to see how the architecture of the Artemis program continues developing. We know that initially we will have we'll have this flight around the moon. Eventually, we want to go to the lunar surface. We don't know exactly how we're going to do that. It is extremely complex to do. But in the meantime, we are building a new habitat called Gateway around the moon. That is also part of the future of the moon exploration. So as you can see, from an astronaut point of view, the opportunities and the way we are going to use these opportunities is extremely exciting, very diversified. So lots of new things that are coming up and that will happen.
I love that, and I love how you teed up the multi-levels of involvement from so many different people. It's not just about getting to lower Earth orbit, it's not just about getting to one place in space, but it's also about how we're doing it and what we're doing when we're up there, and how haptics can be involved, looking at how wearables add to that astronaut experience. What we do here on Earth also transfers obviously up to space. What we do up in space transfers back to Earth as well.